let's go ahead and get to the Cincinnati, Nebraska preview. What do you say?
Hell yeah.
So we got Satterfield, name we love all too well in this team, and Matt Rhule going at it. I think Satterfield's also in his third year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
It's at least what I have on my notes. So yeah, no, I mean Nebraska's offense last year, of course, 94th nationally. Cincinnati was 97th. But completely different philosophies in their schemes. So now, of course, Nebraska's probably going. I'm assuming Nebraska's going to come out and get heavy. Probably heavy use of 11 personnel, maybe 12. But I think they're going to come out maybe 10 or 11 personnel, which is one running back, multiple receivers, and kind of RPOs early, maybe to keep the defense kind of honest, maybe some bubbles, some slants, some quick, hitting stuff. And I think they're just going to kind of come out and try to get that tempo going to limit mistakes. You get out and you get that tempo rolling, kind of get in a flow early on. You limit those mistakes early on, and you kind of keep yourselves ahead of the sticks, and you get that early momentum, from the early momentum is important because it just automatically gets the defense on their heels if you come out and you got tempo, because then they're not able to set up. They're not able to communicate as effectively. They're trying to hurry up and figure out what our offense is doing. And if we got a lot of movement and stuff like that and quick hitting routes, it's going to be hard for them to cover. So, it's more player input, or kind of quarterback input. So I do like that Rhule is going to be able to kind of get up to the line and probably have a couple plays to choose from and be able to, select his protection, those type of things, and that's really going to keep the defense on their heels. So I think it's important to just really get out and start hitting quick, but also get that run going in the tempo as well. I think the first drive is going to be pretty balanced, unless we come out and take a shot early, which I think we might do. Kind of similar to what we did against USC. But yeah, I think they're just going to try to really just overwhelm this secondary and use the depth that we have at wide receiver effectively. And then just hopefully Raiola, we're able to see kind of that deep ball refinement. And I just think he's going to look a lot more calm and poised. But yeah, so I'm expecting just a lot of quick hitting stuff early, come out, establish quick pass, come out, establish a run. And then from there, you have a whole playbook of stuff that you can use your disposal to tinker around with.
I'm 100% agreement with you. In fact, I think the first handful of plays are going to be getting the ball out on quick slants, or maybe, quick out route, or even a screen to Dane Key, to Isaiah Hunter, just because they're new to the team. It's a newer environment for them. It's going to help them just kind of get in the flow of the game really quickly, especially when you have playmakers like that. You always want to figure out ways to get them involved naturally in the flow of the game. And then I think one thing too, Nebraska's going to test that secondary from Cincinnati. I think there is a size advantage, a pretty distinct size advantage at that, and also a skill advantage, both in favor of Nebraska. I think they're going to test them often and early. And, some people, I get questions, like, what do you think the run pass percentage is going to be in this game? And I think, just in general, every game is dictated by what the defense does. And Dana Holgorsen is an expert at taking what the defense is going to give you. And Coach Rhule, I think last week, was talking about Cincinnati's defense. And he's, mentioned they play deep coverage. They try and keep everything in front of you. Well, that's what Dana and that's what Dylan are probably the best at, is just quick throws, getting the ball out in space.
Agreed. And the interesting thing is going to be how Cincinnati's D responds to that, because last year, Cincinnati's front seven was very, very good, right? The back end, the secondary, very weak, very shaky. So they tried to portal the DBs in to kind of correct that, but it's still their soft spot, right? And of course, we talked about Dante Corleone, at nose, 3-time all-conference guy. We talked about his size before, just a big old 330-pound monster, right? But you can kind of scheme around an elite nose tackle if your interior offensive line is up to the task. And I think our interior offensive line is going to be a strong unit. And I think they're going to be able to rise up. And I think the biggest thing is, like, what he's going to try to do is he's going to try to take on as many people as he can. So if we can win against him with one guy, 2 guys at most, that'll really help because then that helps keep them on their heels. They can utilize this because then their linebackers are going to have to step up and be able to try to make some plays. Going to keep them a little more on their heels. Whereas, look at Nash Hutmacher's job last year. His job as the nose was literally to just take on as many blockers as possible. That's why a lot of what the nose doesn't show up in the stat sheet, because just trying to get people on him and wreak havoc. So we don't have to dominate the ground to win, but we're going to probe, early and try to test that inside run. And I think if you can really find cracks on the inside in the run game early, they're really going to go to panic mode because that's their strength,
Yep. I was talking with my dad yesterday. We're talking about this game, and Corleone, good player, if not a great player. But I don't know what else they have on that defensive line. And I think you can get away with double teaming him and just wearing his ass out by double teaming him and just running at him. Make him make plays. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't a guy where there's some defensive players like Sue, right, where you avoid. I don't think he's a guy where you have to strategically avoid in your run game. In fact, I think you exploit it by running it at him and making him, be conditioned well enough in game one to make an impact. Because after 3 quarters, 25 plus rush attempts, and say 15 of those are right at him, he's going to be worn down.